Rahubat Hau. This is Ro again with your weekly orbit report, and this is week 3 of September. And boy, this is a doozy. We have a solar eclipse in Virgo. We have Mars entering Scorpio, square Pluto in Aquarius in conjunct Uranus in Gemini. And this is a transit that we haven't seen since 1779. And knowing what's happening this week with certain places that cannot be named online anymore, this is a very deeply transformational week. And I hope that you got some protection and some water and some canned food, because I don't know what's going to happen, but I know some shit is going to go down, bro. It's going to go down. This week is proving to be, or is going to prove to be, very historically significant. Okay? So, let's get to it! Transit breakdown, September 21st. As the moon goes through Virgo, it hits the sun at 29 degrees of Virgo, creating what we know as an eclipse. Okay? In this case, a new moon eclipse. So what is an eclipse? An eclipse is when the moon comes in between the earth and the sun on the opposite side of the earth while the nodes are close by. In this case, as it is a new moon eclipse, the moon is in between the sun and the earth. The nodes are the mathematical point that shows where the moon crosses the ecliptic plane. An eclipse brings great change, alright? If you have noticed over the past month or so, the planet has been shifting tremendously. If you were to look at your own life, there is a particular area or two that is showing immense change as well. This eclipse in Virgo is a huge, detailed, and critical change, okay? It can bring neurotic, perfectionist, overthinking, and crazy critical change. You're being asked to be more detailed and organized in a particular area of your life. Now, this is going to be different depending on your chart, okay? What's fascinating is that if we rewind the chart back to Wednesday, August 6, 2025, you can see that Mars was at the point of a kite formation between Mars, Uranus, Pluto, Saturn, and Neptune. Fast forward to now, this eclipse is occurring at the same exact degree. Excuse me. When you see something like this type of coincidence, this is the universe's way of telling us to pay attention to this specific degree, right? This specific energy. Here are some things that happened on August 6, 2025 that you may see pop back up around this time. Okay. 8 cherished citizens of Ghana who died in the Air Force helicopter crash happened on Tuesday, August 6, 2025. A shooting at Fort Stewart in Georgia where 5 people were wounded and 2 were seriously hurt. Trump makes an announcement at the White House to the public that Apple was investing $600 billion in the United States, Nvidia invested $500 billion, Micron invested $200 billion, IBM invested $100 billion, SoftBank was investing $100 billion, TSMC invested $200 billion, blah, 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 blah. A whole bunch of companies invested basically trillions of dollars into the United States. Okay? And that is significant in and of itself, right? Rwanda reached an agreement with the Trump administration to take in immigrants who were deported from the United States. Very telling. Hundreds of human rights violations nationwide were compiled against men, women, and children at ICE. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said he's canceling contracts for funding for 22 using mRNA technology, including 19. Okay, top Trump officials. That's like a tongue twister. Top Trump officials gathered at Vice President J.D. Vance's house to discuss whether to publish a recording and transcript of Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanchard's conversation with Ghislaine Maxwell. Trump ordered powerful submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions, probably around Russian territory. NASA announces that they want to put a nuclear reactor on the moon. Japan marked 80 years since USA dropped the first nuclear weapon ever used in a war on the city of Hiroshima. So as you can see, those are some crazy ass things that happen, okay, on that specific day. So in a nutshell, we have trillions of investments in the United States. We have immigration. We have human rights violations. We have no more, right? We have Ghislaine Maxwell's transcripts. We have 3 instances of nuclear devices that are brought up. 3 instances. I want to make that clear. It's 3 instances, okay? So since this eclipse is reactivating this point, okay, and these are the events that occurred on that date, I would expect these topics or some events similar to that to pop off if they haven't already. Probably by the end of the week. By the end of the week. By the end of the... Sorry. These are some serious topics as well. I would say to prep your minds because tomorrow is not only the fall equinox, but it's also the start of a transit that is quite literally nuclear war. Okay? Quite literally. So September 21st, 22nd, September 22nd. Today is the fall equinox, all right? Now what does that mean? The fall equinox is when the sun is at 0 degrees of Libra and the sun has equal day and equal night while the earth is losing light daily to where there will be less light than night as time goes on. This is like a portal going into the next chapter of the year. Okay, now this year is crazy because not only do we have an earth-changing eclipse yesterday, we also have a transit that has not occurred since January 14th, 1779, which is 246 damn years. Okay, Mars in Scorpio will be square to Pluto in Aquarius at 1 degree. This was the same time that the American Revolutionary War was occurring. And on that day specifically, the Continental Congress issued various denominations of paper currency called continental currency. I need you to make sure that you're listening. During the Revolutionary War to help finance the conflict. Notes issued on January 14, 1779 were intended to be promises to pay the bearer, but due to hyperinflation, they eventually became worthless. Okay? Most people don't realize this, but there is a new financial system being laid out before us in the background. Actually, it's really in front of our face, but whatever. For this to occur right now at this very moment with this history just shows the cyclical nature of the realm we live in, okay? Today, Mars in Scorpio squares Pluto in Aquarius, and Mars in Scorpio in conjunction Uranus in Gemini. Mars is the god of war. Pluto is the planet of death, dark sex, and transformation. And investments. Uranus is revolutionary, unconventional, and nuclear. These 2 aspects that Pluto and Uranus are making to the god of war Mars are harsh angles. If you watched my video yesterday, you will see that on August 6th of this year, when Mars was at the same degree as yesterday's solar eclipse, there were 3 nuclear events mentioned in the news along with technology. And the unconventional and revolutionary Ghislaine Maxwell transcripts being contemplated about publishing the records and the transcripts. Do not think this is a coincidence. I do not think there will be a nuclear anything. Hopefully, I pray to God. I pray. But if there were, then the world will blow up completely and that will leave no one else in control, which defeats the purpose of having power, really. I can see false flags coming up through a lesser nuclear consequence, like a nuclear spill or radioactive person comes home to his house and now he is hurting those whom he loved or something like that, right? On top of all this, the moon conjuncts Mercury, which causes more chatter socially, especially in the potential spheres of those who are socialites. I have a feeling that there will be some word that gets spread around about some law or something, right? I don't think that it would be broadcasted though. I think that it would be more of word of mouth. I do want to emphasize that this is not a joke, y'all. The beginning of these war transits have been here for a little bit of time, but now Mars is in the mix in its traditional home sign of Scorpio. This is dark, manipulative, secretive, psychological type of warfare, okay? I truly think this week into the rest of the year is going to accelerate and become a time period we will never fucking forget. Potentially more memorable than 9/11, okay? And if you notice, no one said anything about 9/11 on 9/11 because of the of Mr. Kirk. Keep y'all's minds right as things will get bumpy, my nigga, for sure. Okay. Side note: Ben Shapiro is a popular commentator with this Mr. Kirk ordeal, along with other major conflicts. He has a Mars at 2 degrees of Scorpio and is about to have a Mars return. It would not surprise me if this week into next week he begins to up the ante and brings forth a more killer be killed mentality. More of a dark, sinister energy to his rhetoric that can manipulatively influence his constituents to become infuriated and have a desire to take action. We shall see. September 23rd. According to the internet today, is the rapture, the end of times. Well, Matthew chapter 24, verse 36 says, in the original Koine Greek language, hopefully I said that right. In the original Greek language, but of that day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but the Father alone. So if no one knows, then it's probably not the rapture because no one fucking knows. right? However, I do have an astrological explanation on why today, September 23rd, 2025, could be the beginning of a dangerous dark cycle that we have not seen since the motherfucking Revolutionary American motherfucking War. All right? All right, y'all, listen up. Which is what I think that they were really alluding to. So please make sure to stay tuned to the end so you can learn how to prepare for this transit, because this is not no fucking joke. All right. As the moon travels through Libra, it comes into a square with Jupiter and Cancer. Now remember, a square is a 90-degree angle between two or more planets. This square specifically is with a water sign and an air sign. Water, which is our emotions, can overcome air, which is our ability to reason. This aspect brings the population to indecisively balance its emotions while being challenged by traditional truth seekers. Stay with me here, okay? I'm going somewhere with this. With Mars recently ingressing into Scorpio and squaring Pluto, I have a feeling that shortly here, the collective is about to blow a fuse, all right? I think tomorrow, once the moon conjuncts Mars in Scorpio, we're going to start to see and or feel a darker, more sinister and manipulative vibe from the collective. Okay? I think that there will be more spiteful, vindictive, irrational, and insidiously violent acts beginning to arise. Okay? We will talk about that more tomorrow, so I don't want to spoil it. But, just know that today, with this moon square Venus aspect, moon square Jupiter aspect, society is being prepped for a new cycle of pain, healing, and transformation that we have not seen since 1770 motherfucking 9. All right. Now about the prophecy. Later on in the day, Mars squares Pluto by degree. The last time we had this configuration of Mars and Scorpio, Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus in Gemini, while the nodes were in the Virgo Pisces axis, we had the American Revolutionary motherfucking War. The American Revolutionary motherfucking War was a conflict between American colonies and Great Britain. It was America trying to gain its independence from Britain. This war established the 13 colonies, all right? The B, for those who know, which later became the USA. This was the war that began the creation of the most powerful country in the world today. Now, what happens when we come back full circle to the same point in space 250 years later, which is the length of time a typical nation takes to collapse? Right before the unveiling of Mr. Kirk, the unaliving of Mr. Kirk, which is causing a vast chasm amongst the population, all right? If you ask me, this September 23rd date, today's date, may be where we see something akin to 1779, all right? Now, remember, there's always two sides to the story. The actual definition of rapture is a feeling of intense pleasure or joy. I think there will be two sections of people, both experiencing this planetary configuration from different angles. Right? Stay mentally ready, meditate, pray, and stay mentally ready, meditate, pray, and physically prepare for the unknown, because we don't know what the fuck about to happen. I'm trying to tell you, this about to be some shit. It's about to be some shit, boy. Now, how can you prepare for this transit? Well, that depends on your specific natal chart, because everyone's chart is different. However, if you book a transmission with me, I will also be able to tell you how specifically this Mars, Pluto, Uranus configuration will affect you specifically. Comment below #333 to get a transmission from me today, and I will DM you so we can get it on and get it popping. Now, last tidbit for the day. The sun hits 1 degree today and creates a grand trine with Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus in Gemini. Okay, the mental, rational, social, lyrical, and knowledgeable quality of the zodiac will be easygoing and easily maneuverable. We will be able to flow through the air energy so well on this day. So utilize that to your advantage, and utilize it with integrity, and don't do no stupid ass, crazy ass shit that people be doing because they think that they can get away with it because they think no one's watching, but God is always watching. All right, you are never alone. So, September 24th. Excuse me. As the moon moves through Libra early in the AM, it will ingress into Scorpio and create the first Moon-Mars conjunction square Pluto in Aquarius aspect we have seen since 1779. The reason why this is important is that when we follow the moon around the zodiac, we can see how the collective is flowing at that particular point in time. Where are the emotions of the global population situated at or in? The moon acts as a trigger when it conjuncts a planet. And like I said, on September 23rd, this is not a configuration to fucking play with. The emotions of the collective will be prone to dark anger that is conflicting with the detachment with its detachment issues. Very sociopathic type vibes. It can be extremely slimy and evil. With this type of vibe on today, you may notice people around you, especially those with Scorpio placements, starting to be more sly, more slick. Okay, it may be a slight feeling at first. However, over time through this transit, you will start to perceive it more and more. Now, I don't want to say that Scorpio is bad because it's not. It can actually be very healing, but I need to say that. I want to say that this is not all negative. Scorpio, when operating in its highest frequency, is, in my opinion, the greatest healer of the zodiac. It has the capacity to deeply feel the pure energy associated with their client's psychology and piece together so beautifully what is needed to transform this person's thinking. Boy, into helping them find their own way back, find your way back to the center of their health, okay? The ability for Scorpio to psychoanalyze is fucking wild. So you may find some people being more willing to heal others because of whatever arbitrary reason, okay? So there's always two sides of the same coin. Always two sides of the story. So I have to present both scenarios. Just know that this transit will be either purely heavenly or purely fucking evil. Scorpio has no fucking in between. It's either you can deal with this or you can deal with that. All right. Now this is dependent on your own chart, which thing you will be experiencing. However, as far as the collective goes, because of the previous weeks, the previous week's dangerous events, I'm leaning more towards evil energy coming in, and it might feel like war. Okay, so get ready. How'd you get how'd you arrive? It is very important to arm yourself with psychological shields like meditation, prayer, taking supplements like mushrooms and adaptogens, plus getting substantial rest. Okay, I'm talking myself too with that one. You want your mind to be on go mode at all times. You don't want to know who the evil or the heavenly one manipulation. You want your mind to be on go mode at all times, as we don't know who is going to be the evil one or the heavenly one, as manipulation will be running rampant, right? The moon does in Scorpio come into sextile with Venus and Virgo. So there is a detailed way of relieving any manipulative energy you may come across. However, this is occurring late night, so you may not really be affected by this unless you're a night owl or you live on the opposite side of the world in like Japan or something. Remember to keep your head on straight, because this is the first time we have had this configuration since 1779, and that was the American motherfucker, the Revolutionary motherfucking War with this motherfucker. I do not think any type of real conflict will occur until next year during March, when Saturn and Neptune and the Sun go into Aries simultaneously. However, this could be very well the beginning of the psychological warfare games intensifying, which will ultimately be a catalyst for the new world order. September 25th. As the moon travels through Scorpio, it comes into a sextile with the South Node and a trine with the North Node. At the yesterday's event, this is the population purely feeling into the wisdom we all share and harmonizing it with what we believe we are fated to strive towards. This is the collective, really for the first time, having our deep feelings go beyond our manipulative actions so we can become one with the universe. I know that that's a lot of jargon. However, it holds weight, okay? Yesterday's transit was not anything to play with, like I keep trying to say. It was heavy, sly, demanding, and all in all, harsh to our nervous system. We need to seriously not only come together, but also look at the man in the mirror and ask ourselves, are we really helping out our neighbors? Most people don't even like say hi to your neighbor or people as you're walking through the street. It's like we are either scared to or ignore the people purposefully because we want to show our toughness or our prestige or whatever the fuck ego thing is going on. This type of transit, and I'm not beyond that. This type of transit is a reflection type of transit where we encounter fated events that force us to look at ourselves in the mirror and either rise to the occasion or fold like origami in this bitch. All right. September 26th. We wake up early in the AM and we find that we have a grand water trine with the moon, Jupiter, and Saturn, and we have a grand air trine with Pluto, Uranus, and the sun. A grand trine is when three or more planets create an equilateral triangle in the sky. This aspect brings the easiest type of communication between these planets that there can be. So today, our emotions, our psychoanalytical abilities, and our dreams are fully aligned. Similarly, our advanced communication, our social awareness, and our ingenious power are also in full alignment. We as a collective have the elements of water and air in full harmonization for a brief moment. It would be smart to utilize this moment when we wake up to establish how the day is going to go. We can write our emotions, we can communicate our beliefs and fears, we can study advanced neuropsychological techniques to get us to reprogram our subconscious minds. Even simply light a candle and setting an intention for the day will fucking work. All right, do some shit, my nigga. When nightfall comes, the moon goes into Sagittarius, and how the population may start to feel more wildly optimistic for what's going on in the world, okay? When the moon goes into Sag, it immediately opposes Uranus in Gemini. This is the harvest of the advanced communication we started to develop on Friday, September the 12th. What were you doing around that time in regards to how you were starting to speak and feel about your ability to be rational? This is almost like we have come into a sudden perspective shift about what we emote and the meaning behind what we emote. I think this is a good time to find out, okay, what this is for you, okay? What perspective has shifted for you and why? September 27th. As the moon transits Sagittarius and coming to a sextile with the sun in Libra, creating a 60-degree angle, this is an opportunity for us to nurture our ethical and moral code while consciously expressing our approval of others' diplomatic impartiality. Not everyone is going to agree with our own internal compass in this bitch. Up in this bitch. And we won't vibe with others' questionable choices. And that's okay. Not everyone will get along, and today is a good day to bring that energy to the forefront. Regardless of what we think about people, sometimes we have to work together for the greater good of the all. Okay? We don't need everyone to be on the same page. We do not need everyone to be on the same page for it to be right, and we don't. And it doesn't make it wrong for them to not be on the same page either. It's just different, okay? This becomes more important as shortly after the moon squares Venus in Virgo, creating tension between our feelings about our moral codes and the logistics of how we compromise and secure pleasure. Our moral compass and our pleasure centers will be challenging each other, creating an environment where our minds is telling us no, but our body telling us yeah. Just remember that we need to do what is best for not only ourselves, but also the collective at this time period. It is nothing to play with, okay? Even like look at me joking around. As I'm sure you have noticed since the last few days have been hectic, okay, to say the least. Keep your head up and keep moving forward with high vibrational integrity, and you will attract what you need. Please, you got to keep your head up. You know, it's goofy. Energy themes are the motherfucking week in this motherfucking bitch. All right, so I think this week is going to be very good and very bad. All right, I think it's going to be based upon where you are vibrating at. If your frequency of consciousness is high, then you will experience high. If not, then not. These are my thoughts. I would suggest everyone to fast this week somehow. It doesn't, do a cleanse. It doesn't necessarily be food, but something, right? I'm slightly concerned and feeling uneasy for this week as a whole, and I really mean that. In the world, it's a feeling I started to feel as I was writing this section actually of the video, because I write my scripts, right? Make sure to have your ducks in a row, and you got what you need: all your medicines, all your food, all your supplies, your water. I'm not trying to send out fear porn because I don't know what the fuck gonna happen. I'm just sharing what I'm feeling. It's better safe than sorry. If nothing happens, which I hope it doesn't, and it may not, at least you stocked up for the future, my nigga. All right? For real. Now, rising signs. Aries to Pisces. You already know how we do. Aries. Mars is your planet. So every time Mars changes signs, it affects you more heavily. This is your eighth house, the house of deep and intimate manipulation and pure healing. That may sound weird and conflicting, and kind of is, but not. Pluto is in your 11th house, which is the house of your friends, community, and your rewards from your career. This square aspect between Mars in Scorpio and Pluto in Aquarius makes me think that there is a manipulative conflict that is challenging the transformation of your community. It's almost like there is, I have a feeling that your friend group is going to change, maybe an argument within the group that causes dissension amongst the ranks, or maybe an intimate relationship, or their friends causing chaos and becoming more than you bargained for. It could be you wanting a revolutionary shift to occur within your investments that finally occur, and now your whole life has shifted. It can play out in many fucking ways, man, depending on your natal chart and how you choose to respond. Okay, these things may get weird. Just know that you have all the answers inside of you and are well equipped. When whatever happens, come back to this video and comment what happened, because I want to know. Taurus, this is occurring with your relationships, Taurus, and I'm feeling a small time period where your business, romantic, and platonic relationships will have a slight psychological manipulative edge to them. Almost like you stepped into a realm of noticing the small nuances that give away people's true dispositions about you and the world. This square to Pluto in your 10th kind of makes me think that this will occur more so in your work environment and potentially start to bleed out into other relationship sectors. Whenever you start to feel that weird energy that, like, are they trying to play me on a slight tip? You know what I'm saying? I would fall back, disengage, detach, and then respond accordingly, not react. That's easier said than done. I'm talking to myself too. I'm not Taurus, but I'm talking to myself too. Not only the other people, not allowing the other people to have effect on your stability and security in yourself will prove beneficial. Now let me know in the comments how this goes. Gemini. With Mars in your 6th and Pluto in your 9th, your philosophy about how your health is established as a routine is about to shift. Health and service too. Maybe you go on an aggressive cleanse because you learn how to heal certain things, or maybe you start a cleanse because of an alignment you have, and in going through this cleanse, your entire way of thinking shifts, and you become more wise and mentally expansive with how you perceive truth, right? You could be establishing and perfecting a very intensely logical and aggressive routine that comes into conflict with your current knowledge on how you have perceived society's ills over the past 20 years. For you specifically, a cleanse is almost required. Okay, that does not necessarily mean a food fast, though, a food cleanse. It could be a fast from social media. It could be a silent fast where you just don't talk. It could be a fast from being around people where you're just not around people. It can play out in many fucking ways. A social media fast, whatever. Just make it applicable to what you are experiencing and what you feel like you need to put down for a while. Cancer. Please be careful with your sexual desires, Cancer. You may be more inclined to be a hoe and to be living on the life of the underground workers and doing drugs and giving into addictions. Please be careful this week and over the next 2 months. Mars in the 5th and Pluto in your 8th, creating a square is heavy-handed pussy-popping activities in the worst way. I would stay away from substances or people who are doing substances. I would keep my mental strong by meditating, looking in the mirror and practicing saying no, and having an accountability buddy that will hold you accountable if you do too fucking much. Another option is creating an accountability jar where if you give into the temptation, then you put in like $100 or something. And the funds from the jar go to a homeless person. You know what I'm saying? This is not all bad. It can actually play out well. I just know that in the current reality of the population is more prone to addictions and vices and giving into our desires because that is what is promoted. And the mind is a very susceptible environment when given the right inputs. All right. Guard your psychology, guard your mind, and guard your heart this week. All right. Remember, you are not a burden on people by saying no and establishing boundaries. All right, Cancer? I hope you hear me, Cancer. All right. Leo, your family relationships may explode. There may be a situation occurring regarding your legacy that may feel like war is occurring, okay? It could be a situation where a business partner's actions causes a rift in your home life, or your family gives you negative psychic energy that transfers into your friendships because your feelings have changed, right? It can play out in many ways. It doesn't have to be bad. I know how family can be as well. So if this occurs in a negative way, pause, take a deep breath, and realize that this is happening to make you stronger, and you are strong. Blah blah. Virgo, you've had some shit to deal with this eclipse, right? This week with Mars going to Scorpio, third house and squaring Pluto in your sixth, this seems to me that your skills are at odds with your health. Maybe your neighbor comes outside and causes you to have a health scare, or you, or I'm sorry, or they come out and assert themselves to challenge your services to humanity. I'm sorry, your service to humanity. This may be a very sinister interaction from your neighbor or siblings if that's the avenue that the stars take for your reality, right? Now, if it comes from a sibling, it'd be even more damage because that's family, right? Especially if it plays out negatively. Keep yourself aware of your emotions so you can make it work for the better. Libra. All right, Libra. This is occurring in your money and fun house. This can go a few ways. You win it big in a casino lottery and you splurge it for fun in a positive way, and you still have the capacity of holding on to enough of it so that you can create wealth from it type of vibe, right? Or you have so much fun that you lose everything you had and you just hit rock bottom. All right. This can also play out in a way to where your value in yourself gets so inflated that you start to challenge or go to war with your kids, like your children, or how you are entertained. I would suggest to do everything in moderation because this transit could make it easy for you to burn a hole in your pocket or bridges without you even realizing it, okay? Scorpio. Scorpio, I think you are the troublemaker in this transit. I do. I think you're the one. I think you're the one being more aggressive and asserting boundaries when necessary. You are enforcing your identity onto the family and home dynamic, which could translate and extrapolate out into the collective consciousness by way of your family, right? All of your actions have ripple effects. I want to say that even though you are asserting your boundaries, that is not a bad thing. Simultaneously, you must be careful on how you assert them sometimes. Over the next 2 months, how you appear in the world will be more aggressive, and you might be whooping ass, bro. I mean that, especially psychologically. People may be more standoffish, more ready to fight you, etc. And sometimes, Scorpio, you have to provide them with a side of whoop ass with that knuckle sandwich. All right, lovingly, of course. Just make sure that they deserve it, and you don't fuck with someone who's just trying to better themselves. Use your discernment, please. Don't fuck us up, please. Sagittarius. An unconscious set of skills may arise up and prove to be useful. You may experience way more dreams and metaphysical occurrences that are messages trying to get you to do something, right? You can also have issues with sleep or with a heavy energy that you can't really explain. All the aforementioned energy is challenging your siblings and your neighbors to take certain actions. Or maybe these siblings slash neighbors are the cause of these dreams or uneasy feelings. You know, I know you Sag, and you are wildfire, all right? If you need to burn up the place because niggas acting a fool, I won't judge you. I would suggest, though, to make it less confrontational to exercise, right? To cause a more sustainable state of homeostasis within the confines of your mind, because there might be necessary, Sag. Don't burn up the world. But if we need to fuck up and get up, whatever. Capricorn, I think your friends are going to challenge you in a way that will cause you to pay some bread. It could be like the aggressive friend that tries to get you to do something you don't want to do, and because the peer pressure is too much, it makes you devalue yourself. Or maybe you get a reward like a trophy or acknowledge from your status slash career that consists of a raise. I'm leaning more towards this transit being a harsher transit for everyone and not really sunshines and rainbows. Please be careful with your money habits. Not that you are not really good with money, Capricorn, because you're the boss, but be extra aware. Probably because you're the boss, okay? Aquarius. All right. Pluto is in your first house and it's been there for a minute, which I know is a lot within itself. Now add on to that, and that in your 10th house, Mars enters and causes your career and status to become at war with who you know yourself to be as a human, your identity. I think your place of work is going to try to force you to change to make themselves more capital or to help make them competitive in the market. You may feel like you are transforming into a new version of you, and it is now starting to speed up. For the next 2 months, you may feel like you're warring with your occupation. Just remember that this shall pass, and to not let anyone try your gangster, which in this case is your originality. All right? Pisces, your 12th and your 9th house have been activated. Your dreams are going to be wild. Wild. You are going to have, even if they're already, they're going to be wild. They're probably already. You are going to have dreams that you are going to change your perspective. Well, you may have dreams that you're going to change your perspective on how you choose to take action. You're going to have seemingly perpetual thoughts and feelings that will bother you that you probably can't explain. You may have a teacher that comes to you in a dream or an environment where illusions run wild, that is there to teach you about how war works and how to properly navigate the way of the sword. I can also see this coming from a technological source as well. Please take the time to write out your dreams and really contemplate on what, how, when, where, and why you are taking any action that involves you being aggressive, sinisterly confrontational, or purely violent. Please, Pisces. In conclusion, this is one of the time I hope I am not right about how the week is going to go. I hope I'm completely wrong, and this does not age like fine wine, it ages like milk. One time that I don't want this shit to happen, all right? However, if it does, I need you all to be ready to take on the world and all the illusionary warfare tactics that may deploy, okay? Please be careful and be aware of how you change the rest of this week, all right? And what happens in the world at large, believe none of what you fucking hear and less than half of what you see. All right? I really think that this week is going to be some shit, man. Like I said, I hope I'm wrong. So with that being said, if you're trying to get a reading to figure out what this transit means for you, please go to my website, haloreadings.net, and book your astral transmission, your consultation with me. Whoops. So that we can get it on and get it popping. Man, I appreciate all you guys coming and supporting me. I'm really appreciative. I want to just really emphasize how appreciative I am. I also want to emphasize that this week is not no joke. It's really not. So with that being said, thank you guys so much. Peace out.